Hello, hello, hello.
We would request everyone to please take their seat. आगे
तेरे
रखा।
हाथ में वो एड्रेस है।
तू इधर ही रह। इज्जत तो एमएमएस नहीं बचाई। इज्जत तो एमएमएस नहीं बचाई।
अपना फोटो तो खींचने के लिए बोलना था नहीं।
ग्रुप में किसी डिजिटल वाले को पकड़। हो जाएगा ना, मतलब छोटा लाइन है तो ठीक है। सॉरी सॉरी सॉरी। गुड मॉर्निंग टू ऑल। uh, we request you to please settle down and keep your phones on silent mode. We will be shortly starting the event. जब तेरा मेरा ज़्यादा बोलने का रहेगा ना तो थोड़ा शब्द हो जाएगा तो मैं ऐसे होके बोलूँगा।
अभी तो मेरा ही
हाँ
है।
अभी तेरा है तो मैं इधर है।
और ये जो तेरा खाली 3 लाइन आ रहा है ना,
हाँ वो तो मैं ऐसे बोल दूँगी जो मेजर पार्ट
ये
रहेगा तभी
इसके बाद जब सेकंड स्टार्ट होगा ना,
तभी तू थोड़ा सा शिफ्ट होगा ना मैं भूल रही हूँ।
चेक 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 जाता है। पब्लिक बाहर से आए।
हाँ थोड़ा बहुत क्या बोल रहे हो?
सबसे पहले फोन करना प्रॉपर। मेरा तो वही है, तेरा तो जो मैं बोल रहा हूँ शायद नहीं आया, सीट तो शायद नहीं आया।
हेलो हेलो हेलो
नहीं
गर्मी हो रही है, 100% हो रही है, जो पसीना पसीना आप भी ऐसा लगता है थोड़े टाइम के बाद है ना, सब कंप्लीट नहीं होगा शुरू हो जाएगा।
आवाज़ें बंद हो जाएंगी।
पता नहीं खाऊंगा। जो मैंने बता दो अरे 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 अरे
तो बात करेंगे बात करेंगे. We request everyone to please keep their mobiles on silent mode or aside. If anybody caught with a mobile phone using will be confiscated.
वैसे ही बिठाना हाँ 4K मैम सुरभि मैम को बता देते, सीटीओ सर आ रहे हैं। सुरभि मैम, सीटीओ आ रहे हैं। वो मेरे को जितना ख्याल है उतना जितना पूछ रखते हैं वही है ना।
इशारा दे देना ऐसा, ही इज देयर, ऐसा इशारा दे देना।
ठीक है। अपने लोग ना सामने से खड़े तो बोलो 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 बोलो। नहीं रहेगी। हाँ तो पहले ना पूछो
फिर आप
This is the same room we were at that time. Session. Yes.
Good morning to one and all present over here, esteemed dignitaries, faculty members, and all the aspiring leaders from various colleges in Mumbai. I, Shrey Mewada,
and Karina Singh.
welcome you all to Tagore Global Business School's international panel discussion on leadership strategy for global supply chain management. We are so glad that you have all joined us today. We are in the era of Industry 4.0. In global supply chain management, Industry 4.0 technologies can be used to improve visibility and transparency, allowing companies to better track the movement of goods and material. Industry 4.0 technologies have the potential to transform the global supply chain, making it more efficient, transparent, and secure.
This panel discussion will address various aspects of digital transformation, supply chain agility, collaborations, sustainability, and risk management.
Now, I would like to call upon our respected in charge director, Dr. Suchi Gautam ma'am, to address the August gathering.
Thank you, dear students. A very warm morning to all of you. On behalf of Thakur Global Business School, I welcome all the participants and dignitaries for our panel discussion on leadership strategies for global supply chain management. It gives me immense pleasure to have with us today our speakers, Mr. Kingshuk Mukherjee, professor at College of St. Benedict and St. John's University, USA, Mr. Bob Gazich, professor at College of St. Benedict and St. John's University, Global, this USA. Sir, warm welcome to both of you. Mr. Kingshuk has always been the supporter and well-wisher for the Institute. Today, I again welcome our moderator, Ms. Meghna Patil. She is the moderator for the session and she's a proud alumni, and also she has been associated with us in many ways. Just 4 months back, I was attending a conference of Industry 4.0. There I heard talking all the corporate leaders saying that today supply chain management has become the hot discussion topic of the boardrooms. Yes, in last few years, lot of changes have happened, and we have all witnessed that all these changes have ambushed the global economic momentum in both the pros and cons. Whether it's COVID pandemic outbreak, the ups and downs the global economy has faced, and the Ukraine-Russia war, all these things have bring a significant share of discussion to the supply chain management. So there is a time to think about the non-traditional ways regarding supply chain management. And I will not talk much about this today because we have two experts who will talk about the various strategies on the supply chain management and the ways to deal with it. So now I again welcome on behalf of Thakur Global Business School, sir, both of you. And today, I again congratulate all the ignited minds sitting here. A happy National Youth Day. Be young and follow the principles of Swami Vivekananda, always. Arise awake and don't stop until the goal is reached. So now I thank Director Tim sir, Dr. Pankaj Natu for giving us this connect, and I invite him also to speak few welcoming words.
Thank you, Dr. Suchi. So, joyful morning to all of you. It's a great moment today to see entire SSC full with students, all ignited minds. And yes, definitely on the National Youth Day, because National Youth Day is about Swami Vivekanand, who had gone to Chicago and spoke at the World Religion Conference. So today it's a very auspicious occasion that we have two American professors who have come back to India to address and ignite our intelligentsia on the current trends as highlighted by Dr. Gautam. Supply chain management is an interesting area, and we have Kingshuk Mukherjee, who is an expert in supply management area. And especially, I would like to highlight that with Kingshuk Mukherjee, we have had this relation for many years. First time he visited the campus, that was in 2014, and it was an amazing session. And he's back again to the campus and again back to India after maybe 8 years. So it's a good start again, post-pandemic. And also, it's so heartwarming to see Mr. Bob also, who is a professor at the St. John's University and also the vice president of Global Impacts USA. So he's here and he is an expert on leadership and his area is into strategy. So we have two very eminent professors who have come from an organization with whom we have already, our organization has a MOU signed in 2015, which talks about academic cooperation. And that is the way exactly why we have been able to organize this conference. And especially for all the audience, I would like to highlight that, in the COVID situation, how situation was very complicated, where everything went on suddenly on online mode. And it was Mr. Kingshuk Mukherjee who actually initiated the concept of global classroom, where we had the first batch of PGDM students, operation students. How many? 10 of them? No, 12 of them, 12 operation students, and there was one from, I think, Timsur also. So 12 operation students from our organization and around 20, 30 from St. John's. So it was like a global classroom, and 4 times in a week we had these sessions in the evening time. India, it was around 7, 8, and 3 hours session. And using the very high-tech platforms of St. John's, we had this collaborative kind of a research. These students were formulated into groups, then they did the presentations, and the presentations were evaluated, and there was also an outcome from it. Those operation students all got good employability, and one of them was also absorbed by the Global Impacts company. And till date, he's working. I think he's there today. Is he there? Okay, can you stand and... So he's Ashish. So he is the first intern and also he's still working with the company. That shows the success of this particular partnership. And I also wish, on behalf of the management, warmly welcome Mr. Kingshuk Mukherjee and Mr. Bob, and also a warm welcome to Ms. Meghna Patil. She's always been there, very strong alumni support, and also an expert in the innovation and analytics field. So she is kindly accepted to be the moderator, because we want to have this session to be engaging, not like a lecture. It has to be more question-answer based. So again, on behalf of the management, warm welcome to all of you, because all of you are here. And thank you so much again. And also, thank you for giving me this opportunity to express my views. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am and sir. Let us introduce you all to our panelists. Today we have Mr. Kingshuk Mukherjee. Sir has 20 years of business experience under his belt, with a global impact including 40 countries across 5 continents. And Sir is currently Associate Professor at College of St. Benedict, St. John's University, and also a President of Global Impacts USA. It's our honor to have you, sir. Now, I would like to request Pankaj Natu, sir, the Director of TIMSA, to felicitate Kingshuk, sir. Thank you, sir. I request you to please take your seat at the dais.
Our next panelist is Mr. Bob Gazage. Sir has co-founded three multinational companies named Global Impacts USA, Guild Apparel, and Strive Medical. Sir is currently Associate Visiting Professor at College of St. Benedict and St. John University. Also, Vice President of Global Impacts USA. We welcome you, sir. Now, I would like to request Dr. Suchi ma'am, in charge director of TGBS, to felicitate Bob, sir.
Don't see these lilies until April in Minnesota. Yeah. Minus 20 degrees now.
अभी डायरेक्ट में ये कर रहे हैं थैंक यू बोलो Thank you, sir. Moving ahead, we have Ms. Meghna Patil. Ma'am started her career in analytics and innovation as product head at Web Express. Later on, she also worked with Mahindra and Mahindra. After her stint, she is currently Vice President of Analytics and Innovation at Logic Cloud and Web Express. Ma'am, we are glad to have you today as a moderator for panel discussion. I would request Pratik Sir, HOD of Operations, to felicitate Meghna ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Our panel consists of experienced leaders in the field of global supply chain management who will be sharing their insights and strategies with us. These panelists have a wealth of knowledge and experience managing supply chain in a global context, and we are excited to pick up their thoughts on the challenges and opportunities that the leaders in this field face. Before we start with the panel discussion, I would like to request our panelists to share their thoughts on the theme of leadership strategies for global supply chain management. I request Mr. Kingshuk sir to share your thoughts. We request Mr. Kingshuk sir to share your thoughts.
So, a warm welcome to all of you here. I feel that I'm coming to my second home here. I was sitting in the same place in 2014 December sometime, and doesn't feel it's that it has been that long. And in between, we had that global supply chain classes with you. We also did a couple of keynote addresses. So I feel I know you all very well. And although I'm coming to India after 8 years, but I see incredible growth across from Calcutta to Indore to Pune to Sangli and now to Mumbai, where we fly out from tonight. So it's incredible to see the growth in India in terms of everything. But what strikes us the most, and we will be biased because we are teachers, is that the incredible growth of the students, the young population all around the country I see. there is a sense of energy, there is sense of urgentness, there is a sense of doing something good, healthy competition. And sometimes I feel, what did I do in 20 years by being in other side of the world? It seems that I missed out the boat of the spectacular movement which is going on. And I was telling to some of your faculty earlier, I mean, this decade of 2020 and 2030 belongs to India in many, many different ways. The first thing is, of course, about the demography strength of India, which the Prime Minister also speaks about it. The strength of India lies in its young population, in its strength. We already are close to 1.3 billion people. By 2040, we'll be 1.6 billion people. 40% of the population is under 24. So there is incredible opportunity for the country to grow, and you are the folks we will be. It sounds dramatic, but these are not my words. These are the words of the famous, the creator of this. Who is the creator? Steve Jobs. In his famous speech in 2005 in Stanford graduation, he spoke this, that, you know what? We are all born, and then we all die. And as we get older, we clear the path for the young folks. So it's up to you all to take this mantle and move forward. So the challenges for 2030, 2040, when you will be at your peak of your career and taking leadership role in organization, entrepreneurship, politics, skills, in every areas, is very, very important how you build your life right now. So that's what the hope is. The rest of the world is aging. China is aging at a spectacular pace. US is also aging. Japan is aging. Canada is aging. So a lot of the countries around the world is aging. So India definitely, and with you all especially, the human resources is going to be the powerhouse for the rest of the world. All this political chatter of immigration in US, including this crazy time to get a visa for 33 months, which I learned, hopefully it will go away and it will be cleared off. So your time is now. And Rome was not built in one day. So start the journey from now, right now, today, on 12th of January, 2023, where we are sitting at a beautiful 80-degree Fahrenheit, where back home we are at -20. But as they say, everywhere the show must go on. So this is a time, this is the opportunity to shine, to rise, build it up brick by brick. And the country is looking for you. And think big, not just yourself, because this is a movement of millions and millions of you like this. So this is an era of competition, but it is more an era of cooperation. So learn from each other, work with each other. And my area has been supply chain. We have been sourcing. I learned supply chain basically by doing. I have been sourcing all these fabrics right here, 400 or 500 kilometers from here, from Sangli to Ichalkaran to all these areas in Maharashtra, where you import these big fabric rolls. We use the logistics. We bring it to the shores, we convert it, and then it distribute. So over my 22 years of textile business, at the same time my teaching over 22 years, there has been a lot of changes. Supply chain has become faster, smarter, and in many different ways, very agile. And there is a couple of, I prepared a PowerPoint, but I think it's better just to discuss. There is a podcast I did in last month, November. So we can share that with you. And we did in person in November at our Industrial Fabric Association International Trade Show, where 7,000 people attended in Charlotte in North Carolina, where 3 of us were the panelists talking about the supply chain. I had one person, she was the head of supply chain in Canada, along with another person who's head in sales, And we had a lot of people from the subcontinent in the audience talking about the supply chain challenges which we faced in last 2 years due to COVID. But as I say, as dinosaurs got extinct, human beings survived, and we survived the COVID. Somehow we find today the container pricing from Shanghai to Los Angeles is $1,600. 1 year back today, that price used to be $25,000. My container from Sangli to my port of Charleston reached up to $15,000. Today, it is back to $3,000-4,000. So as we see, the freights is losing up in supply chain. The biggest lesson which you learn from supply chain, and many of the American corporations have learned, is not to put all your eggs in the basket. Diversification is the way. This time we have this relationship with this mill in Sangli, Umaid Sizers, one of the top textile mill and exporter of the country for 20 years now. But still we visited another 4 just to diversify our supplier base. Every company, big and small, is doing that, diversifying your supply base, smart logistics, using technology, real-time data, and learning from what we have done. Also, from business standpoint of view, the lead time has increased significantly. Customers have become more patient, and the relationship between customers and suppliers and vendors is basically a partnership now. You know, we are more open. We don't try to hide. If it is going to be late, tell them you're running late. Like, we were visiting IIM Indore. We visited 4 institutes that day. We were running 1.5 hours late. So we were proactive in telling them instead of telling some stories. As we do in person, we need to do that same thing in business. So the key takeaways is reduce the bullseye for the supply chain. That is, you're sourcing wherever near you can get. Number 2 is, at every point, technology like blockchains to others are there. Use it efficiently, including the good old Excel system, which in our small company, Ashish does it every day. You know, he's up at 1 a.m. in the night and still doing because he's working at our US time. Being proactive, not reactive, is another way. And diversifying your supplier base, looking at how much energy is used, how you can recycle the products. All these things are which we need to think about for you all in the future, in a time to come. Especially environment is going to be a big, big factor. So environment for all of you should be the #1 priority. We'll have another 300 crore more people, I think. Am I correct? 1.3 crore to 1.3, it's projected to be 1.6 in 2040. And land is limited, air is limited, space is limited, highway is limited, underground tunnels, whatever we do, we can do it. But we have to be sustainable, smarter energy, smarter living, smarter homes, and so also the supply chain will be. So the future looks very exciting, very promising, but for all the students right in this, today in this room, I will encourage you to think not just for yourself, not just for your work or job, which you will get it anyways, but what you can contribute. Like me and Bob, we visited Mother Teresa's city, where I'm from, where I was born, last week. So we can't be Mother Teresa, but if we can, each one of you can change 10 people and 10 things, that should be the target. And then evaluate every 3 years, 5 years, and see where it leads to. So that will be my, my hope, my dream, and the future belongs to all of you. There is no looking back. The love for China is gone in US, and US and India are politically, geopolitically, business-wise, are coming closer and closer. And this bond, irrespective of which party is in power, is going to remain. There is no turning back. And you are the people who will be the engine of this movement. It's a movement, it's not a change, it's a movement. Like Obama once said, change. So you have to think of it as a movement. and think about 2030 and 2040, and rest will be all good. So that's all I have for you all at this juncture in this beautiful city on this beautiful morning in this incredible campus. And thanks to your director, Professor Nathu and everybody else. It's spectacular. I think the saddest part of coming to India is when you board the plane while going back, and all of a sudden your world is very different. That's, I think, for me has been, or for all of our expatriates, has been the saddest part when the flight takes off from your Kolkata airport, Mumbai airport, Delhi airport, because we don't know whether we'll see the people whom we saw last time. So with that, it sounds somber, but we have limited time. From Bill Gates to a homeless person has 24 hours. Let's make the best out of it.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your insights. Now, I would like Bob, sir, to share their thoughts on the theme.
Well, good morning, and thank you for the warm welcome. This is my first trip into India, and as King would say, into Asia. So I am one of 5 children in my family of origin, and 2 of my brothers have done a fair amount of extensive international travel, and they've been into China, they've been into Hong Kong, Japan, and those sorts of things, but I'm the first to India. So it's been a really, really neat experience, really eye-opening. The people are warm, the food is good, the weather has been beautiful, so it's been a really great experience. So I appreciate that. And the warm welcome that you have given us today, standing up and those sorts of things, was quite touching. So thank you for that. As I tell everybody, my area of expertise is leadership, and it seems like the more I study it, the less I know about it. So it's a pretty interesting construct, and I don't know how many of you have studied it, but skills are really, really important to develop and really important to utilize. But as King was talking about, and maybe what India has the advantage on is the human enterprise side, is the people side. And for me, and this is maybe an American perspective, but it's the people that make the difference. You need a really good system, but it's the people that really do the execution. And so it's vitally important. And so when you study leadership, I don't know how much you've studied and looked at it. I don't know if you like to read. I like to read sometimes. Sometimes I don't like to read. But there's a really interesting book that I would tell everybody to get. At least it was profound for me. The title of it was Leadership. It was published in 1978, and it was written by James McGregor Burns. He was a poli-sci professor. It was a Pulitzer Prize-winning book. It's a really thick book. But what was fascinating about it is in my research in leadership, they never really defined leadership. It was just kind of, we all assume what we know leadership to be and those sorts of things. And so it was really fascinating because he did define it, and I should have it to memory, and I don't. It was on page 19, though, if you want to write that down. He looked at 4 different leaders. He looked at Hitler, Lenin, Mao, and Gandhi. And what was interesting is that through his investigation of those 4 different individuals, he said, hey, what leaders do is leaders tap into understanding what followers want. And so a key aspect to leadership is understanding followers. Leadership is really an equation. It's leader and follower create this leadership dynamic. And it's interesting how much power followers have. And I don't know if you've read much on followership. That's another interesting domain to look at. But that's where Burns talked about, is that leaders understood the wants and needs, aspirations and expectations of leaders and followers to implement change. And if you were to be in a U.S. Training session right now at Google or Apple or 3M, And the question was asked, you know, who likes change? Everybody would raise their hand and say that they like change. But change is really difficult. And so I would ask everybody right now to fold your arms in a comfortable spot position, please. Is everybody comfortable? Now I want you to shake your arms out, and I want you to put them the opposite direction. Fold them the opposite way. So how does that feel? It feels uncomfortable, right? And so any one of us can change for a minute, but how do we sustain the change, and how do we do it? There's a really interesting, James Prochaska looked at it in his trans-theoretical model of change. But so your fundamental goal once you get out of here is to find your path. As King said, it really is about the journey. I don't know if I look young anymore. But when, you know, it was like, how do you be successful? You know, how do you, in India, I like baseball, American baseball, so it's how do I hit the six? You know, how does that happen? You know, in cricket. And maybe the most important part of it is just walking up, we call it home plate. What do you call it in cricket?
Sixer.
The sixer? It's, you know, it's just enjoying that walk up to the sixer. And it's enjoying that experience in the moment. And if you happen to hit a six, that's great. And if you didn't hit a six, you get another shot. And I do a fair amount of succession planning for family-owned, owner-managed businesses in the U.S. I always thought before I started it that the leaders always hit a six right away.
Bold, you get bold.
Bold.
Bold or caught.
You'd be surprised how often they were bold and caught. It happens frequently. So it's important, as King said, as Steve Jobs said, you know, we live and then we go. You know, it's in the U.S. when you look at an obituary, they have the year you were born and then the year you died, and there's a little dash in there. So it's, what am I going to do with my dash? What's my purpose? What's my reason? You know, I've been created, and I've been created to do what? And what is it that I want to do? So young people are great. It's exciting. It's exciting to be in college. You know, there's a lot of energy. I would say, as King was talking, there's, have you heard of Peter Drucker? I kind of like Drucker. You know, they call him the godfather of American management. But what's interesting is Drucker said, because I think sometimes, I'll speak for me, you get this big ego and you think you're brighter than ever, you know. And Drucker said, the only reason why you're in business is because of the customer, you know. And so, you know, each of you with a little entrepreneurial spirit, you know, you just put yourself in that customer's shoes and you think about, what is it that I can create that'll make someone's life easier, a little bit better, a little bit smoother, and how can I do that? And that's what you do, you know. And sometimes it's really cool things like this type of technology, and sometimes it's you know, someone that works on a new sewing machine, you know, in the fabric industry, and it's everything in between. So I believe that there's a spot for everybody at the table. You know, it's just determining where's that spot for me at the table. So I guess my parting comments would be, when you think about leadership, think about followers and the importance of understanding those individuals and what makes them tick, what motivates them, what are their values, what are their aspirations. Because, you know, King and I, we to some extent, we couldn't have grown up more differently, but we have comparable values, pretty similar worldviews. We're not that much different, but I like different. You know, my wife and I are different, and it's the differences, I think, that you fall in love with. So don't be afraid of differences. Differences are what make the world go around. If we're all the same, wouldn't that be boring? You know, dry, you know, and so just think about, if each of you have family members, think about how different you are from your siblings. How you know, different tastes in music, in food, in dreams, all that stuff. But you still love your sibling. We're all pretty much the same, looking for the same end result. You know, so I love competition. I love healthy competition. You know, I think that's fun. I think that's what makes business enjoyable, is how do you go beat the competition? And that's what's fun to do. So, so it's, you know, I guess that's another game out there, the game of business. But you do it, but back to James McGregor Burns. One of the things that he said, and I would argue about Mao and Lenin and Hitler being leaders, maybe initially a little bit, but they became tyrants. And in organizations, we have tyrants as well. But Gandhi had that moral component. You know, he had that compass. And I think if we all have that compass about doing the right thing for the right reason at the right time, you know, good things happen. And that's what fundamentally, that's what McGregor Burns got into when he looked at what became operationalized by Bernard Bass out of Ohio State in 1985, the transformational leadership model. And so, and then thus the explosion of leadership. So if you want to invest in paper companies, then you just start ordering online. Or I guess you get to, I like to read paper. I don't always like to read things online. But you can start to order tons of articles on leadership. But that's all I have. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Bob, sir, for the valuable insights. Now, the moment we have all been waiting for, I would like to request our esteemed panelists to start the discussion. Over to you, Meghna ma'am.
Am I audible?
Correct. Yeah. Yeah, correct.
Hello, namaste, and good morning to all of you. Fine, right? I can use this. I feel honored to be part of this such a wonderful event, especially to be moderating such an amazing panel discussion, having such a great topic with experts with us. So it's really a pleasure to be here and moderating this discussion. We heard from our experts that what supply chain is. We heard about their experiences. We heard that how that is going to help us going ahead. We heard some suggestions and advices for us that how going ahead we have to look forward and how we have to strategize, how we have to hold a leadership position, how we need to be agile with the strategies which we have, right? We know what supply chain is by now. We understand without supply chain, we would not have access to the food, health products, or the items which we are allowing to travel, to work, to entertain ourselves, right? So right from sustenance to shelter to any luxurious item coming across the border, you know, important role played is by the supply chain management and the talent who is working for supply chain entirely, right? So we also know this, that supply chain management sets the foundation of economic growth for any country. Having a required set of infrastructure, policies in place, collaboration is the key ingredient for a successful supply chain. And that happens when right talent is also being part of this entire strategy. We know this, but what are exactly we are going to understand in today's discussion? What takeaway we are going to have from this discussion? Let me set that expectation. We know recently, very recently, we all have witnessed, the world has witnessed the pandemic. We have gone through a lot of disruption. There had been a lot of volatility in the market, a lot of uncertainty. The strategies which worked earlier may not work in a similar way now. Pandemic caused a lot of plants shut down. There was transportation backlogs. There were shortages in inventories, right? Which definitely caused a lot of inflation, or I would say a surge in consumer prices. And we all have been impacted with that. Whoever wanted to order something but which is coming from across the globe, we had to wait. The wait was longer. There was a lot of unpredictability and a lot of uncertainty. How do we prepare ourselves with that? Not only that, on the other side, there are issues, geopolitical issues like Dr. Bob mentioned, like Mr. Kingshuk mentioned, geopolitical issues like Russia-Ukraine war. Then there are a lot of issues. Do not forget, supply chain also get impacted by natural disasters. One more incident which we had experienced, that was the blockage at Suez Canal, which again impacted entire supply chain. So how do we, going ahead, enable ourselves, empower ourselves, and help the organization for which we go ahead and start working to make the supply chain more resilient, more successful, and what should be our strategy going ahead? With this cue, I would like to start with Dr. Bob, that what do you think with this entire globalization, with a lot of uncertainties, what should be the basic strategy a company or an organization or a leader should be taking to make their strategy more agile and dynamic so that they can address this type of disruptions, this type of volatility and uncertainties which may come up?
Boy, that's a great question. I would say,
Can I interrupt a little bit before I see? See, we are all sitting here, okay? All of you are wearing your suit, your jacket. Bob, finally he got his McDonald's this morning in the campus, okay? Your director, he made his wish to your director, I need a McDonald's, certain flavor. It has been 27th of December, 2.5 weeks. And it was right in the table. How did it come? It's the supply chain. As soon as we enter in our office, we need our Wi-Fi. We need to call the Uber, we need that. All the clothes we are wearing, it's somewhere supply chain. Okay, the places we reach, we are always running late, so today was for a change a little bit in time, is the supply chain logistics delay. So the supply chain lies in every day. We don't see it. Back in the days when I first started teaching in 2007 a supply chain class in our campus in 6:15 in the evening till 9:15, it was very boring. All of a sudden, in last few years, supply chain has been talked 3,000 times a day. All of a sudden, everybody talks about supply chain. So somehow, that's one of the very few good aspects of pandemic, okay? And as we drove from Pune-Mumbai Express Highway, it was such a smooth ride. Again, it's the roads, it's the logistics, it's the supply chain, it's so many things. So supply chain exists in our life every moment, every day. We are running this panel discussion, we have a schedule. That's the factory does scheduling. So with that, I will hand over to Bob.
I think, is this working? Yeah. So, I mean, just to piggyback off of what King had said, I would say that what leaders need to do from a supply chain side is they need enough accessibility to their supply side. You can't have a single supplier to supply your goods. You need multiple suppliers, and you have to have strong relationships with them, and you have to understand their business models. They need to understand your business model, and you have to be able to kind of coexist together, to work together, and to communicate in an open manner. So when there are problems that occur, that you can attack them at the best possible way. Franklin Delano Roosevelt was the president of the United States, no, Dwight Eisenhower. Well, Roosevelt was a president as well, but Eisenhower was a World War II military general, and he became a president. And Eisenhower says, plans are nothing, but planning is everything. So, you know, that strategic piece, when you start to plan and you have an idea of what's happening, you know, in this world that's so dynamic, and that, you know, who was going to be aware that this pandemic was going to hit and it was going to, you know, stop everything. You need that plan, and you need that strategy to be able to understand, you know, what's going on, and with your suppliers, to be able to minimize that. That's what I would say.
Thank you, Dr. Bob. That was insightful. With this, I would like to request Mr. Mukherjee that this has given a lot insights to us that what supply chain is from your point of view. From Dr. Bob, we tried understanding that we should have multiple vendors. We should ensure for alternate options also. We should be dynamic with our strategies. Would you like to help audience understand that how exactly global impacts would you know, play a role here, and how it would be, you know, for anyone who wants to start working at United States, especially in the state of Minnesota? How would you suggest anyone to, you know, start with that sort of initiative?
Okay.
Okay.
So all of you can hear me? So what you know, Meghna was asking us is how our company, Global Impacts, can help in the supply chain. Global Impacts as a company has its roots right here in your state of Maharashtra. Because we are in textile business for 22 years, and it's basically the canvas fabric, industrial fabric, it's all grown mostly in northern part of the country, especially in state of Maharashtra. So our supply chain itself is pretty global. The bullseye is pretty big, and the way we manage it is each and every time, and somebody is sitting in this here, he can even explain better, because I just give instruction, and he is the one who execute, who was also sitting in my class. Ashish can tell you more. As soon as a container lives here from Sangli or for Ichalkaran, it is tracked each and every point till it reaches the Pithampur here, not Pithampur, your Navashiva port here. It gets loaded in a vessel, and then from a vessel, we see it's a direct vessel or not. The shipping line tells us when it is going to reach in Port of Charleston or in Norfolk in Virginia. We track it 21 to 27 days or 30 days. We also line up our truckers and everything. So as soon as the container reaches, we custom clear it. Before even it leaves here in Navashiva port of, we have to file the custom paperwork. So everything has to be coordinated just like an orchestra. And everything has to be proactively. So before the container reaches, 10 days prior to that, we have to line up the trucker, we have to make sure the goods are custom cleared, and then the trucker is there to pick it up, because you only get 3 to 5 free days to pick up that container. Otherwise, every day you pay $200. And then also you have to talk to our warehouse that they are ready with the crew. So when 200 or 300 rolls, huge, comes in a 40-feet container, they're ready to empty it. And then the empty container goes back to the port, and it comes back to the shipping line. So this is something which, since we are involved right here, some of you who are aspiring to, you know, work in US, most of our internship has been remote internship, and it has worked very well. We want to expand our India operations more, so supply chain, logistics, accounting, smart technology, analytics, all these areas you will have an opportunity with the global impacts as far as our company is concerned, our little company is concerned. But we are very involved with state of Minnesota. We are also very involved with the Chamber of Commerce, and we want to create an ecosystem. I was talking in Indore, ecosystem between Madhya Pradesh and state of Minnesota, ecosystem between state of Maharashtra and Minnesota. As Maharashtra is one of the rich state, it's progressive state, It's a liberal state. So also Minnesota is one of the top states now in US. We have another presentation which is about doing business in US, which will come to that, but there are a lot of opportunities you can get. Can we move some of the slides maybe? Somebody can help us? Or, okay, let me go in here. Can I? We are so used to doing everything ourselves, from lawning the lawn, to driving the car, to to cleaning your house, that we are so used to doing everything ourselves. Okay, let's go further down. Let me see if I have, these are some of the presentations which we can share with you. We are not going to go too deep into that, but let me see if I can come right at the very end where we talk about global impacts. Okay. These are all the forecasts. This is fine. Let me see. So I will come to this, but when it comes to, this is some of the things which we are doing in US in supply chain, which is unrelated. But overall, as I was saying you some of the figures, what is happening? US is moving more and more to insourcing. We are saying era of outsourcing is over. So as I was talking to the textile mills, what we supply is the raw material, the fabric. And as manufacturing is going to grow in US in next 5, 7, 10 years, from chips to textile to clothing, state of Maharashtra will get a lot of share by supplying these natural fabrics, which will be processed there and made into finished products. So that's where a lot of opportunities lies. That's where Global Impacts is the connector. So that covers quite a bit. And there is another presentation we can show, which is doing business in US. Can we go further down a little bit? Let me see. Okay, this is fine. So can we have the other presentation, which is doing business in US? So I hope that answers the questions in a brief. And those of you who are interested, we have our business card. Connect us in LinkedIn. We are always there. And the joke is, everybody complains because I take too much pictures and post too much. But today when I was in this campus, I was showing it to your director. 2014, the picture we took, it's still there. Because at the end of the day, I start thinking our life is limited. We have a short time span. So what remains are the memories. And we do compare and contrast how we have changed over the years. Okay? So that is there. So I think that's a long, long answer to a wonderful question. Do it in doing business in US, though. That's state of Minnesota, where we are from. Yeah, we can go into that. So this is a presentation which we have been talking to the business houses, to others about, the top one, of course, is the flag of the United States. The bottom one is the flag of Minnesota. Okay, so let us go to the next slide. Okay. Why United States? I think we all know it. Let's see the next slide. This is, rank 1 in GDP. And as we are seeing this map will change significantly in 2030 and 2040. I made my own strategy students who are seniors about to be graduate compare US, China, and India. What will be the GDP? Okay, China's GDP will be around $32 trillion by 2030. Okay, US will be around similar. India is a little lower, but still it's catching up there. As we already know, India has taken UK, overtaken in GDP. So in terms of GDP, per capita income, quality of life, health, 2030 and 2040 are very exciting targets to meet. So these are some of the, compared to US. Okay, can we go to the next slide? Okay, so this is state of Minnesota. Maybe I will let Bob, I can take it from an immigrant perspective, but Bob can tell from the real Minnesotan perspective. So I'll let Bob speak about this.
My grandparents were immigrants to Minnesota. I grew up, if you can see that little dot at the top, Duluth. I grew up about 150 kilometers northwest of that. It's called Minnesota's Iron Range. It's an iron mining area. All my buddies, all of our grandparents came from Europe. In the little town we grew up in is about 10,000 people. There were 41 European nationalities. So we're kind of like a little mini European melting pot. I don't know how many of you like music in here or, you know, Western music, but Bob Dylan, I don't know if you've ever heard, you're pretty young. Yeah, that's where he grew up. He's from my, Dylan is from my hometown. I'm not from his. All right? So he's one of our famous people. But, you know, Minnesota's, I would argue and say it's a great state. You have to like the cold. You have to like the change of seasons. But you can see that, you know, the per capita income, we have a pretty good income base. You know, I think on the next slides, you'll see we have, in Minneapolis, St. Paul, we have 16 Fortune 500 companies based there. It's a real strong economic engine in the Twin Cities. So if you want, you could see, you know, when you look at your population versus, so our statewide population is you know, 5.5 million people. This is a view of you know, some of the stuff, you know, nature, right? Nature and nurture. The city there is St. Paul. It's downtown St. Paul. It's the capital city of you know, the state of Minnesota. And then that lighthouse is right off of Lake Superior. It's about along the North Shore. They call it the North Shore. It's about I would say maybe 100 kilometers north of Duluth. That's where the lighthouse is. And you could see we have 10,000 freshwater lakes. You know, we have more than that. So people love to hunt and fish. You know, in Minnesota, it's a big thing. Women do it as well. You'd be surprised. And we also do, I don't know if you've ever seen, but you know, our lakes freeze in the wintertime. Did you know that? So, so that's, sometimes guys will get together and we have fish houses. You put the house on the lake and you get a drill and you drill in, you know, and sometimes, you know, the ice will be, I'm really bad with centimeters, but it'll be 36 inches. So
Almost like
120 centimeters. Yeah, 120 centimeters deep, you know, the ice, you know, and then you drop your line in there. So Minnesota's, you know, you know, from an educational standpoint, it's you know, ranked high. You know, from a environmental standpoint, it's ranked well. You know, air quality, all that stuff. So it's a really great state. Yeah, you could see per capita, we're #1 for Fortune 500 companies. They said we have 16 based in there. U.S. News and World Report said we're the second best state. That's a lie. They said the state of Washington up in the Northwest is #1, but I don't buy that. No, I'm teasing. You know, top 5 for economic opportunity. So it's a really good state. Yeah, next slide. Yeah, you can go to the next one. You can go.
Minnesota is
Yeah.
one of the, Minneapolis, St. Paul is one of the richest city in US these days in terms of per capita, because there are only around 6 million people. 6 million people is what?
In the
Less
state.
than a crore. And you have a huge land. And then we'll come to the next one. Next slide.
Oh, wait, go back up real quick.
Yes.
You can see, so the city on the right there, that's downtown Minneapolis. And then you got a little look, but actually that's Minneapolis as well.
Yes. And
Yeah.
your Pankaj sir was there with us. We spent a few times on 2015. So
No,
he has
that's
seen
St. Paul, my bad.
That's St. Paul. and
On the
this is
left,
Minneapolis.
on the left is St. Paul. So that's the High Bridge. We have the Mississippi River, one of the longest rivers in the world. It starts in Minnesota, not too far from where I grew up, a little bit west, but that's, you can step over it, all right? That's how it starts. And here's the different companies. You know, Target was part of Dayton Hudson Corporation. Dayton Hudson was a family-owned business for a long time. Dayton Hudson, well, we don't need to get in, but they created a separate entity called Target. You can see 3M, Minnesota Mining and Manufacturing. That started up in Two Harbors in my neck of the woods. And it was, again, it was like, what do customers need, right? So they needed sandpaper for for the mines to be able to, and that's how it was created. An interesting thing, if you look at 3M, their trademark is innovation. So their engineers and scientists, they get to tinker, I call it. 20% of their day, they're thinking about what new things can we create. Because in the next 5 years, about 40% of their revenues are going to be generated by stuff that they're creating today. So that's, one of the things that they talk about, I don't know how much you studied motivation, but creativity is oftentimes stated to be the 21st century driver. So it's all about being creative. And in General Mills, I don't know, General Mills, big, we have a lot of food stuff. We have a lot of farming and those sorts of things. US Bank, Best Buy is a big, gigantic retailer. They sell all the gadgets that you people like, that you young folks like, maybe the old ones too. But and in fact, the CEO, she's a St. Ben's grad. She's from our college, and she's currently running next slide.
She is our business major graduate, business accounting, graduated only in 1997.
Yeah.
So she's one of the first women CEO of a major Fortune 100 companies that started as a family business with 2 stores, and now Best Buy is there around the world.
Yep. And then Cargill, they're big food, conglomerate. They're still a family-owned. The Cargills and the McMillan family. Medtronic's a big. They're into heart stuff. There's a lot of medical stuff in the Twin Cities. Mayo Clinic is down in Rochester, which is the southeastern part of the state of Minnesota. It's a big. We get for years, even before there was a lot of international travel. We used to get a lot of international dignitaries would come into the Mayo Clinic because the medical staff and doctors were so strong there. So health is good, education is good. So it's our infrastructure is really strong. It's really a good state. Next one. Yeah, this is King. You could even speak to this, but
yes, we have like 900 foreign corporations in state of Minnesota, out of which, if you look at the map, in India there are only 17 India corporation in state of Minnesota, and that's where the opportunity lies. It's up to you all how to make 17 into 170, and let's put a target of maybe 2027. Many of you will graduate out of here in a couple of years, and as the 2 states are becoming closer, how to bring these 2 states closer, that will lie in a lot of the leaderships which is coming up. Because that's the ecosystem. Be it business school, be it politician, be it industry, the sugar and cotton is so big, IT, everybody has to work together. We alone cannot do it. So these number has tremendous opportunity of growth. Okay, next one. Okay, so Minnesota is the leading, we call it women's state. It's one of the leading state when it comes to the numbers. Among US still, women get 88 cents to a dollar, okay? There are a lot of issues which you see here is very much in US too. It's the same wine, but different packaging. It's the same challenges women face there as you face it here, okay? But Minnesota has been a progressive state. It's trying to do its best, and it's a women's state. So that's where another is a national leader in women's workforce participation. If you look at that, women make up to 47% of the total over 25%. Women are 76% of all master's degree in Minnesota. Labor force participation is 62% among all women in Minnesota. So it is only next to District of Columbia, that is Washington, D.C. So it's a progressive state, so that's where it is.
Walter Mondale was a former vice president of the United States with Jimmy Carter back in 1976. He ran for president in 1984. He's a Mondale was a Minnesota senator. So his running mate was Geraldine Ferraro. He was like the first one to tap a woman to be vice presidential candidate, so back in 1984.
And right now, his prodigy is Amy Klobuchar, who is the current senator of Minnesota. The other senator, Tina Smith. So Minnesota is both every state get 2 senators, irrespective of the size of it, which is basically the lower house, the lower chamber. And both the senators of Minnesota are women senators now.
Yep.
So this is more about our company and global impacts. Maybe we can stop so we can take some more questions.
Thank you, Dr. Bob and Mr. Mukherjee, for giving that gist about the state of Minnesota. And especially the images definitely have helped audience know more about the state now. They know about the opportunities there, especially that being the #1 state for women. I'm very sure most of the women here are now definitely attracted towards this location. This location is going to help you with a lot of opportunities. And the images, again, gave a little quick virtual tour to the location to us. So thank you so much for that. With this, I understand you also mentioned about companies Target, 3M. These companies have really proven themselves from supply chain point of view. They have presence across the country, and they have been successfully running their supply chain operations. So taking cue from that, there are many such companies who have their global presence, who are moving across the borders to have alternate vendors, suppliers, different market altogether. With increasing globalization and a challenge to meet the uncertain demands, at the same time, there is another challenge which we need to now look at, that's more on working of sustainability. We have been talking a lot from a long time about sustainability, that we need to take care of our environment, about the ecological system, about the climate. But now it seems with recently we have seen a lot of impact. We have seen the rising temperature in UK. So this is now very eminent, very obvious that it's high time that everyone together should collaborate and work towards taking care of the environment. The supply chain management, the strategies or the competitive strategies, whichever we are working on, they should be considerate about the environment. So how would you suggest for the companies or these leaders who would be joining this workforce, how should they be able to manage their challenges and the priorities of meeting the market demand, gaining the supply chain surplus, because of course you need to have your profits, you need to gain the profits as well, but at the same time, be concerned about the environment, take care of the entire sustainability part of it, rather than just having just policies, but actually work on it. So how would you suggest these leaders, how should they be taking this?
I'm going to take this just for a minute, and then I'm going to pass it over to King, because this is a great question. And I would say when you think about environmental causes and sustainability, it really needs to be front of mind, and like literally front of mind, like literally the first thing you ask. And the reason why I wanted to speak about it is because it's just it's fun when you're in a dynamic and you're outside of the conversation, you're observing the conversations happen. And what King will do every single time when we were here would be to discuss some of the environmental opportunities. And so it's always on the top of his brain. And good for King, maybe bad for Bob. It's on my brain, but it's not the first thing. But literally for King, it's the first thing that comes out. And so I would say that in order to have processes put into place, executives and then down through the chain, it needs to be front of mind. But King, I'll
So before I start, can we have our school website put up there? Somebody can type in csbsju.edu. That will be good to have on the screen. Is there a internet connection we can type? Okay. csbsju.edu. Okay. So this is where we come from, College of St. Benedict, St. John's University, okay? And if you can scroll down, there is a virtual tour in the campus. Somebody who's good in technology can help us, schedule a visit maybe there some people were helping us out. So this is our campus. It's 2 schools. One is for women, one is for men. They take classes together. Our St. John's is established 155 years back. College of St. Benedict is established 110 years back by the Sisters of St. Benedict. And there is a virtual tour. This campus of St. John's is one of the largest campus when it comes to men's university in the world. It has over 400 acres with beautiful, so that's the virtual
No,
tour
King-
experience.
King, I think it's 2,500 acres.
Yes, might be, yes. It's a huge
It has
one.
lakes,
It has everything.
couple lakes on it.
So it has huge lakes, huge area. The thing is, the school itself, it's an old school with old tradition. When I first joined, there was no solar panels. 30% of the college electricity comes from the solar panels now. The food, which is served in a 2 wonderful cafeteria where your Professor Nathu has had his lunch and dinner quite a bit, is being served in this today's date where Minnesota is minus 20 degrees by the greenhouse, which is run by the students. So the food is within 50 square miles radius. So it's not just sustainability of the energy. We don't have any of these plastic bottles in our campus, okay? So that's why when I landed in Mumbai airport, I was just coming out, I saw the fountain, I accidentally had the water a little bit because it's a basic instinct. So we banned these bottles in our campus from 2012, okay? Both the campus has a sustainability office. So the place where Minnesota is, it's in the forefront of sustainability. Corporate America is leading in sustainability. Amazon has ordered 1,000 trucks from Rivian, the electric truck. American loves their trucks. F-150 Ford is now coming up with 2 versions of electric vehicle. So within state of Minnesota, alternative energy, including the Xcel Energy, which is the biggest source of energy in state of Minnesota, the energy provider, they themselves are building solar panels. Okay, University of Minnesota is one of the world's leading R&D. They're trying to find energy in many, many sources. So state of Minnesota is leading it, and the reason they're not leading it because they're all of a sudden business has become priest, but it's the other way around, business won't survive. Today, the hurricane in Florida or even Houston, a flood in Houston destroys billions and billions. So this is what I think where the adults in the room are basically trying to, kick the can down the road. It will lie on all of you, and that's where you need to demonstrate, to protest, to do whatever you can. If people have to go to jail, let them go to jail, because your environment is going to wipe away whatever wealth you have or whatever you created. Because Mother Nature is creating an havoc, and it is going to, okay? From the cars we drive, to the electricity we have, to everything needs to change. Otherwise, one storm when it's Florida or Puerto Rico or Houston or the tornadoes, it kills people. Winter storm, Joe Biden declared while we are here yesterday, they have emergency in state of Minnesota. People from Northern California, the wine country, the Silicon Valley, are moving to the lakes of Duluth, where Bob is from 100 temperature like this to minus 20. Why? The houses are catching fires. Acres and acres are being destroyed. Lives are gone. Billions are gone in just a matter of 2-3 days. So, and you all will face it more. Okay? So, the politicians of today, the adults of today, they will keep on kicking the cans. This should be your #1 priority.
Do you know why they kick the cans? Remember your arms? Change is hard. That's why you kick the can. So you just have to live with doing it this way as best you can to get used to it. And you'll adjust. But it'll take a little bit of time, a little bit of effort.
So you will do it, and I've seen this in India. When you want to enter a hotel room, you put the key for the light. I ourselves, when I visit our home in Calcutta, I see they put a solar panel. So India is doing it, but again, here the need is much, much more. You are building the beautiful metro system in this city, but the resources are limited. And there is going to be 300 more crore people with the same amount of land. The water level is going down. I heard Chennai, people have to bring the tankers for water. The water level is going down. So we need to, this should be #1 priority as far as that is concerned.
That was absolutely a strong action-oriented message to all of us. Rather than waiting for anyone to come up with policies or bigger organizations coming up with such initiatives, it should start with us. We can start making these little changes in our lifestyle, start observing which are unnecessary or non-recyclable items, start giving away those products, those items. Obviously, this will make it a mandate for the companies also to work in certain way where you will accept their products only if they are either recyclable or environment friendly. So with this, we're taking this virtual tool now?
Yeah,
Well, it's just a look at the
you can see the
campus.
campus from a bird's eye view. And this is just the St. Ben's campus.
No, this is St. John's.
This is, see the lake right there?
At the top
Huge
right.
lake. You can take a, yeah, you can scroll the thing and you can see a 360 view of the campus. So the students live in campus and it's almost like a Gurukul system. And the fathers were smart. You know what they did? They opened up a pub within the campus. We have 2 campuses, the 2 huge colleges. This is in front of one of our main building, I think, Bob?
Yeah,
No,
that's,
this is
that's
the quad.
built
That's
in
the quad.
1860.
This is a quadrangle. So let me tell you one thing about sustainability. This building is historical building. We cannot change the way it is heated and lighted. So we still use oil to heat it, and that is not sustainable. And our business building is right across, and this is where all the good food is served. It's a 7-course meal. Because, you know, our students are anyway sleepy when we start talking, so we don't want to eat there and then go and teach our classes.
It doesn't look quite like that today. You'd see a lot of white, about this high. Snow. With no leaves on the trees.
So Simon's Halls is our business building. You see there?
Yeah, right
That's the
straight
historical
ahead.
building where we sit. So it has a lot of history and a lot of green, a lot of fresh air. So when we have students from Calcutta visiting, it's like a breath of fresh air. You can show the Abbey Plaza. There's a famous church there, which is right at the first one, Abbey.
The top one.
Abbey, the top one.
Yep.
Okay. So while I think there is a button there. See, this is the historic church, which is a beautiful, that's where the graduation happens. And many times we have seen students, they graduate in May, the next day we have attended their weddings in this church.
Yeah.
We say to them, what are you doing? You're 21 years old.
If you keep going, you'll see the library right there.
Yeah, they built the new library, which is spectacular, in a traditional library with all the modern things. Yeah, this is the library. It's beautiful. I mean, they took an old building and could modify it. It was amazing. Look at this. Beautiful. And down that pathway, we have the,
Science.
we have a coffee shop run by students. A lot of entrepreneurship happens in our school. Okay, so I think we can continue with the questions as we see the visual effect of bringing Minnesota in Maharashtra, the two M's.
I literally felt the freshness of being on open ground, the lawn, right sitting here, thanks to the technology and that virtual tour. Now that we are talking and praising the technology, I want to bring back everyone to the supply chain and want to understand from you, sir, that there are a lot of technologies which are coming. There are a lot of companies who are trying to bring a lot of innovation in supply chain. Now, these innovations could be with new IoT devices, which would either capture the temperature or the speed or the sensors, right? Again, we had another technology which was a lot of talk or hype. I would like to understand that from you. That's about blockchain. We are talking about artificial intelligence. We're talking about machine learning. Help us understand that how are these technologies actually on real ground, because it may not be suitable in all the scenarios. So which are the areas where you think that these technology would really make a difference, and which are the technologies you think are something which are very common and must have technologies for any organization or for the students to know about those technologies?
I think the best thing to think it simply is what me and Bob experienced a few days back. He fell sick on his flight from Indore to Pune. I fell sick on my drive from Sangli to Pune. And we were trying to figure out, what did we eat? Is the dairy, is the raita, or what is it? So if there was a blockchain technology, we would have pinpointed from where, because your system is different. I was born here, but I cannot take the strongest antibiotic as I used to once upon a time. So to figure out which food source or which food allergy or what temperature you need your food, that's the blockchain. Because blockchain is like simply like a third party. It's like your iCloud, maintained by IBM and other. Companies pays maybe $19.99 to put their information, but we can track it. In US too, it happens. There was a crisis with food, there is a salmonella virus, they track it down in minutes and take it off the shelf. So blockchain technology is very, very important for health and well-being. At the same time, I won't name the national bank here. It was one of my first bank account in India, but many of you can guess which bank it is. I'm not going to say that, that 3 words of that bank, but I heard that somebody manipulated the bank so much, they got a lot of crores of money, and now they're trying to extradite that person to Mumbai or to India. Okay? So if there was a blockchain technology, then every accounting could be accounted for. And the Indian government don't have to run to the British government, who siphoned out these millions of crores, and this nationalized bank is doing not so good. So from your food to your banking to your being quick, blockchain is the technology for the future. On the flip side of it, we have so-called smart people like that kid from MIT who is now going to face 25 years of prison time. Okay? That FTX which happened. All the Bitcoins, all the things which was going on has collapsed. So all those things is part of the blockchain. So it can be misused too. So if the blockchain can be understood by common person, okay, and if it can be applied to our simple life, that's when the really essence of technology comes. Just like with the phone today, we all can use Google, we can upload pictures, we can do FaceTime, lifetime. When common people understand, it's easy to access, and there is accountability, then really the blockchain can really work in a large scale. It's a great system. It's an audit system. It's a check and balance system, and people cannot manipulate that system. Okay? It's just like your iCloud, which hasn't been hacked yet, but who knows what the Russians and the Chinese will do tomorrow.
The blockchain is the technology which we really need to look forward and how it's going to contribute in the success of supply chain. From this, Dr. Bob, blockchain, if you want to implement, or any other technology, there is always a cost. You need to have some capital available with this. Or the other way to have a surplus in supply chain is to gain economies of scale. Everywhere there is a need of capital. What would you suggest, or what strategy would you suggest to a smaller firms? Or I understand that you have been supporting your family business as well. So maybe that sort of setup, or smaller firms, how should they have their strategies with limited capital available? Do you think blockchain would be an expensive investment, or any other technology? How should they take care, and how should they again come into the competition? How should they strategize this?
I think King should take that one.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Sorry, I was distracted, but so
On the
what's
blockchain.
question?
For smaller firms, we know that blockchain would definitely help. But then for implementation of blockchain, they would need a technology firm who would help them to implement this.
Correct.
So getting this technology firm is again an investment. So would like to understand that how it would be challenging for smaller firms. If a smaller firms want to come in, have this sort of strategy, what should be they take care of? If not blockchain, what could be other alternatives they could be using?
Actually, blockchain is built to help smaller firms too, if they can. Like IBM charges you $29.99 a month if you want to be part of the blockchain. So there is it, but then most of the smaller firms are not yet there. It's a mindset, even in US, because you're trying to survive every day, okay? So if you have to reach point A to B by bus, you cannot think of a jet plane. So the mind system has to change, and change will come more and more as even smaller company will realize that they need to provide accurate product, otherwise you will be out of the business. So as like every technology, when it is for the mass, then I think there's the opportunity for smaller companies. But as rightly said right now, smaller companies are not using blockchains.
But they can, and it should not be a worry for them that it is nothing that difficult or not that challenging. Correct. They can adapt to this.
It's a cultural thing. The system is there already.
Right. You also
Personnel thing too, to have people to help.
Correct. Personal thing too. Yes.
Yeah.
Because most of the small business is one-man army. So how much you can do?
Right. You also mentioned about thinking of alternate options, having better vendor relationship or better business partner relationship. Would you help our audience understand that what exactly and in which, what should be their approach in one, identifying vendors? The basic is known, but then would you share your experience that, when you started with the textile from Maharashtra, what was your approach in identifying the vendors, and how are then you planning to extend your vendor base again? So could you help your strategy to understand this more?
I'm just going to do a little bit, and then I'm going to turn it over to King, but it's interesting. Let me see a show of hands. How many of you like to meet people face to face in here? Of those of you that raised your hand, how many of you take the initiative to do that? Let me see. So about 10%, right? I noticed that even with my sons. I have 3 sons, a 26-year-old, just turned 26, just turned 21, and an 18-year-old. And with the interns that King and I have, it's, so how do you get vendor relationships? King can respond to it. It's getting out from behind your technology, your phones. It's so easy to send a text, send an email. I mean, so that technology is nice, but it becomes an excuse not to go out and meet people. And I think if you're willing to go out and meet people and look eyeball to eyeball at them, I think you're going to be wildly successful. Because I think most people in your generation are going to attempt to do it by Twitter or texting or email or Snapchat or TikTok or whatever the technology is, right? So our success is, you know, when King and I go and meet with some of the cutters and sewers in the US, we have about a 90% closing rate. Within 6 weeks of our meeting, we get business. It's unbelievable. It's really King, it's not me. So that's why I go with them. But it's getting out and seeing people. And again, it's just, I mean, for me, it's just basic human stuff. Getting to know who they are, getting to understand them, getting to understand, you know, what good things are happening in their business, what problems are happening in their business, just getting to, you know, and not necessarily trying to sell them anything. It's just trying to understand them. If you seek to understand someone, everything else that you're looking for will kind of follow. And so I think our success, I mean, we've had a great trip here, you know, meeting with some of the different mills. You know, King has met with them before, I hadn't met with them. But it'll be fun to see, I mean, even in the US, this is years ago. So my first job out of school, I worked for an air freight company. So we would, you know, we would ship, it wasn't UPS or FedEx, it was CF Air Freight. We would ship tires, but it needed to get there. We would ship, you know, glass, like industrial, commercial glass for buildings. And, you know, I mean, all sorts of things. But I remember when you would call it, you know, another location, another office, and say, hey, you know, this package was supposed to be delivered. Can you? And you would never get a response from them. And then you would see them at a conference, like an inter-company conference, and you get to know them. You call them, and they would get back to you right. I mean, it's just kind of human nature. It's interesting. It's strange, and it's beautiful all at the same time. But you know, your success will be predicated, from my viewpoint, on your ability and your willingness to go out and meet people and see them and understand, you know, what they want. And then that's where I think when you do that, then that's where the values as organizations need to align and understandings need to align. And honesty has to be there, open communication, transparency, all things that are easy to talk about sometimes but hard to do. But you know, because, you know, your word needs to be your bond, you know, and you need to be able to follow through. And you know, but things, you know, things happen. But when you have a relationship, you get another life. You know, if you don't have a relationship, they're going to look to someone else. And so that's the key. I think that's been our MO, and that's allowed us to have some success.
I think I will tell you quickly a couple of things. For source, I'm doing textile business for 22 years. So when I first started, I was very naive, will believe whatever the vendors are saying. And I always used to, you know, vendors will always mess me up. They will never ship in time. So over a period of time, you learn, first of all, you have to learn to accept failures. Failure is not failure. Failure is a learning experience. So don't be afraid to failure. In Asian culture, failure is like losing your face. In Western culture, failure is like a learning experience. So don't be afraid to fail. So in past, when I was 25, started my textile business, vendors will promise to ship. They have sent me stickers for their Christmas and New Year's shipments to the factory in Indore. The factory wouldn't ship it before Christmas, New Year's. It was so embarrassment. But later on, you learn how to have the quality control, how to, you know, have multiple vendors, how to read in between the lines, what is their culture, what is their reputation, and shipment in time, your words matter. We have faced many challenges in doing the textile businesses over these last 22 years, from the vendors from, you know, all over India, from South to MP, to Maharashtra, to everywhere. So you got to learn how to read between the lines, give everybody a little chance, be proactive. As soon as you place an order, make sure that it is taken into production, ask them for the proof, ask them for a production sample before shipment. All these checks and balances you have to do. Then go and meet them in the trade show, go and see their facilities, what they're saying, or are they lying? So you always have to be on your toes when it comes to sourcing. And be always look out is how you can do a better sourcing, efficient sourcing, create healthy competition between the vendors, okay? And price is not everything. Quality services matter the most, which is also a test of sourcing. So these will be my, my experiences over 22 years. I was so naive when I used to do this way back, in 2000, 2001.
That was a perfect direction which has helped these students definitely. And I would want to reiterate, because I really liked few of the points and I've picked them up. One was, go and meet in person, then you understand what your vendor is, how is he performing. Visit to the facilities, see what is the capacity, what is the capability of the vendor to provide you, what commitment they have given to you. Failure is not a failure. You keep learning gradually over a period of time. So you would understand that failure is a lesson. You will understand how the vendor is, how you need to put checks and balances on the vendor performances, and gradually you would end up with the best vendors for you. And most important line, which I've again picked up, is the value. Your value of your company should be in sync with the value of the vendor. That's a very important point, Dr. Bob. Thanks for adding that in your statement. So from this, when we're talking from the vendor base, I would want to shift a little bit to the geographical discussion. We have been hearing about shift of manufacturing hubs or manufacturing facilities from China to +1 countries. That's to India, Vietnam, Philippines, and Southeast Asian countries. So how do you think that will impact the US relationship with these countries, the US trade relationship with these countries, and how would also it impact the entire global level of supply chain?
I think that's a great question. I've been thinking about a lot. I was in Vietnam in 2016, went to the city of Da Nang, where the first 50th fleet of US landed there when the Vietnam War started. We had a student, Dewey, who actually is known to your director. He was our student from Vietnam, went to St. John's University, graduated. Then he got hired by Da Nang government, and the government paid him back $100,000 as his fees. So when I went to give a talk in Da Nang in 2016, I was pretty impressed by Vietnam's textile industry. They did a great job, but what surprised me, all their raw material came from China. And at that time, Vietnam was already having a bad relationship with China because China was trying to take over the South China Sea. So what I see, this China is so huge and the factory of the world, as the business is chipping away from China, this is the time for India to go and shine. Because Vietnam is is just on the heels, Cambodia is, Latin American country like Peru and Chile is there, and now Biden recently called the African countries summit 2 weeks back, in which US is trying to go big in Africa because the Chinese have already gone there, they've paid the money, they've got the ports, they've got the bridges, but they got a bad deal. Now the African countries are coming to US, so this share, we were in a trade show in Charlotte. We met this company from Taiwan. They said, do you want 100,000 garments? I can make it in Ethiopia and ship it to you at a great cost. So the Chinese companies are going everywhere too. So this +1 will be distributed among many. Now how much India is able to take it will lie on the workforce, on the politics, again on deliveries, supply, costing, efficiency, all these will determine how much of the China breakaway pie will come to India, how much it will go to Vietnam, how much it will go to Indonesia, how much it will go to Guatemala, because in America has CAFTA treaty. So if goods are manufactured in Nicaragua, in Honduras, or in Dominican Republic, those are duty-free when they come back to US. So Latin America will do very well, but Latin America is going through political turmoil and a lot of gang warfares. At the same time, US is looking at Africa. The problem with Africa, if you look at the continent, it's landlocked. So even if a container has to ship from Ethiopia, Addis Ababa, it has to be trucked all the way before it can take a ship. So India has the ports, the manpower, the quality. My experience of doing textile business from India is the commitment, the packaging, and the attitude, which has to change. But within itself, the product itself is very good. So that's what we need to do. And we need to learn from our huge software companies, the Infosys of the world, the Tatas of the world, who has done incredible growth in the service sector.
Absolutely. That was going to actually be my next question, a follow-up question to you, sir. That when you mentioned that, India has a great chance of shining up and, providing good products and services to the globe. From that point of view, what would be your suggestions? Now, because it's your experience also, you had some good and bad experiences from the vendors. What would you suggest? And the reason for asking this question is because this entire talent is going to be part of some of the other companies who would again be providing products and services to the global audiences. So what would you suggest? So I understand the product is good, but again, there would be scope in some of the other areas where the product also need to be improved. So what would be 3-4 strategies or the areas where India needs to improve, and that will create a great impact at a global level or for India to be present?
I think one will be the speed, the accuracy, the packaging, the branding, all these, especially the scale which China can. I have not seen Vietnam or Cambodia can even do it. Even the Chinese factory who goes and opens factories in those places. So speed, efficiency, accuracy, these will be the 3 things which, the corporate India, the manufacturing India needs to improve. Just they're doing it in the software sector. So they need to do the same thing in the manufacturing sector.
But maintain the quality.
Yes, of course.
You can't, the quality has to be there.
Right. So I would want to assure you that with a recent, a lot of policies has been changed by, an initiative have been taken by Indian government. There has been a recent launch of national logistic policies. There will be a lot of transparencies between different entities and parties who are working together for government, different ministries, which will help all the traders to move their shipment faster, the export or the custom formalities which normally would take a longer time, that will again come down. That's the assurance which we have got from the government, and we believe in them that will definitely help bring India on the level where India will be able to shine out. And with the inputs which you have given, definitely that will be included by the audiences when they start working, their way of working, the attitude which they'll have towards their work would definitely help India to reach up to that level. Now when we have understood that what exactly or how India should be, what should be the strategy, where is the area of improvement, what would you suggest to the institutes, be it institute like Thakur or any other educational system which is available and present in India? What do you think that they should be including in their way of teaching or the way they collaborate, or what else they should do so that the audience or the young talent get exposure to the global level at this point in time itself, which will help them understand what are the real challenges rather than just relying on understanding some concepts from books? How would they really understand what is the situation? Reason, what they would study now, what strategy they will understand now may not be applicable in the situations which they will actually get to work to, because the situations and challenges may again change by that time. So what would you suggest, what sort of design or what sort of approach should an institute or an education system take to make these talent very useful and an addition, a value addition to any organization?
And a couple of things comes to my mind in short form. One is all of you, be it institute, be it students, be it anybody, have an entrepreneurial mindset. America is a country of entrepreneurs. So have an entrepreneurial mindset. We are even seeing students who work for our former students, 2016, 27 graduates, who is working from 3M and other. They're always doing something on the side, like a side hustle. So you need to have that entrepreneurial mindset. Second is, attitude is bigger than aptitude these days. So that is very important. Number 3 is collaboration, because for India, the biggest challenge is how we can scale the talent. 2 things which I see is missing as we moved from Calcutta to Indore to Pune to many, many beautiful campuses. 2 things are important. Number 1 is leadership, development of leadership, and secondly is the global exposure. Any kind, be it virtual, in person, be all these things, get a global exposure in terms of business. We already, somebody was saying that, in your ground, Post Malone came, 10,000 people were there for him. So we already know the popular culture. K-pop has taken over whole of America. And especially, my daughter is 13. I asked, for all this time, I thought they were singing in English. She said, no, one song is in English. So from her to my sister's daughter, she's 11, they all are K-pop fan. So see how they're spread globally. So you need to scale up and have a global exposure. If we can do from the Pizza Hut to the Domino's to the K-pops to the McDonald's to the Post Malone, so why can't we do it in the business to business? So each one of you need to reach out, be proactive. And being an immigrant and first generation, I can tell you, people won't come to you. You have to reach it. Okay? You have to reach out. Be at a friendship level, be it any kind of discussion. Get a global exposure wherever you can and have an entrepreneurial mindset. Okay? That's something you can create. These 2 will help you. And cooperate, not working separately. Educational institute all need to work together. Students need to work together. You got to do those gossips and chit-chat, not among just your Thakur students, among everybody from here. The political climate here is much more conducive in state of Maharashtra compared to what I see in West Bengal. So you got to, come out of your shell, your comfort zone, and reach out. Reach out, reach out, reach out.
And you can even practice by, I don't know how much you reach out to engineering students here on campus or architectural students, but just to get to know them. I mean, because you're going to have a problem posed, who are you going to go to? I mean, they might be a resource for you. So it's really important. And back in the day, one of the platforms in the U.S. when you were rising the ladder, the corporate ladder, is when you were given an international opportunity. When someone was given an international assignment, you knew they were going to get up into the upper echelons of the organization. And so there's that afforded to you today to look for those opportunities, as King was saying, just to get exposure, just to see what's going on out there. And, I didn't realize kind of failure in an Asian culture was maybe you lose face. And we in the U.S., nobody likes to fail. Nobody sets up and says, hey, I want to, fall down. But oftentimes when you look in the U.S., the most successful people have failed the most. And unless you fail, you never know where that line is. And if you don't know where that line is, you're not performing to the level that you can perform to because you're afraid to fail.
I think what I learned in America is the success. People really worship the people who are on top. They fall in the bottom and then they rise up, like rising from the ashes. Those are the things. And another thing, America is also looking for you. It's a business students in a liberal arts college. It's always a tricky thing. I ask my students before I start a class or some topic, do you like money? Let me see the hand. And 30 out of 30, maybe 28 students. I said, then you know what? List down the top 5 companies where the money is coming from. 3M, more than 50% of the money is coming from outside US. Apple, 67% of their income is coming from outside US. General Mills, Medtronics, everywhere. Today, US is 4% of world population consume 40% of the world's wealth, okay? But if they have to come to India, just like once upon a time, East India Company came to my home city back in the days in Kolkata. So they are reaching out to you because here is the money, okay? Because America understands money. So they also have to reach out to form the partnership. The Starbucks of the world has already happened in India, but the medium to small, they will be looking for. So you reach out and they will find out to you.
And if they say no, that's okay. Go to the next one, the next one, the next one. My parents said no my whole life. Can I do this? No, no, no. They trained me. And it's a beautiful thing. So don't take it personally. Just keep plugging, because a lot of things in life is about timing. You know, so no means that the timing isn't right. So then you ask, when is the timing? When do you think? But just keep asking, keep asking, keep asking. And you know, you'll eventually get to yes. And it'll be the best thing.
I think if we have 5 minutes time, can we show some of the interns how they have done?
Yes, please. That's what that actually was
Yeah.
going to be my next question.
Yes.
That, you know, because with this limited time,
Yes.
I'm sure
We are
they
covering
will
4
expect
topics.
more things from you, and what they you know, how they can connect again with you post this, maybe for internship, and understand more about internship opportunity with global impacts.
So this is a little presentation we prepared. We promise we will do it in 5 to 7 minutes. So can we go to the next slide?
2 hours.
2 hours, okay.
It'll be long and boring.
Okay,
painful.
next one. So the context. It's all about for experiential learning, what we are trying to do in a little scale. This is again comparison of the economy. Let's move on. Okay, let's keep on moving. So about us, so who we are, this is what is given. Mentorship, unity, innovation, transparency, and diversity. Next slide. So we have all these 3 different companies. Guild Apparel, which is basically now is rebranded as a separate unit called Game Day Apparel, where we make apparel for athletes, top athletes. Like maybe if Virat Kohli won something, then we will date on name of Virat Kohli, what he's passionate. That's what we do. Strive is the medical, global impacts is a core business. Okay, next slide. Is, you know, it's a successful pipeline for the college grads. Textile industry is aging in the US, like many other industry. So that's what we want to, because people who are studying textile, they all want to go into fashion. They want to make the clothes for New York and Paris. But it's an interesting industry, it's stable industry, as generations have learned. Okay, so we provide experiential learning. Next.
King, real quick. There's money to be made in apps and technology, right? But there's money to be made in boring stuff, like technology as well. Those things have been around since the beginning of time. They're going to be around till the end of time. So.
And this is some of the, on the middle is the picture with a couple of our interns. The one Bob is holding, he is a student from Jakarta. He goes to University of Madison. And the background is where is Mall of America, where we launched our Guild Apparel in 2018, when the biggest Super Bowl, like the T20 World Cup happens. That's when it was in Minneapolis. And the other student next to me, he goes to Ohio. In the bottom is the student, he is doing his master's in supply chain from UT Dallas. And this is some of our interns where we connect remotely all over the country, from different schools, different parts. Next. So how do we stay connected? Click on it. Through Zoom once a week, through Slack every day reports it, through email, through one-to-one. Next.
Oh, wait, really quick. Back to the Zoom call. Remember how I talked eyeball to eyeball? You'd be surprised how many students, week after week after week, just put up a blank screen. And King and I say,
I
hey,
get super mad.
we want to see your beautiful faces. I mean, we want but it's just interesting that you have to constantly ask, like, just open your world up and just see your face. But anyways,
So, you know, when you see eye to eye, that's where you get the energy from. So, next one. This is the structure of the program. It's 15 to 8 weeks. It's part-time, flexible hours, 15 to 20 hours a week. It's remote, it's virtual. We fly in some of the top interns. And these are on the right-hand side of the levels. You start off 15 weeks as freshman, then next 15 weeks senior, then next 15 team lead, then divisional manager and general manager. Ashish sitting right there, he's the team lead for our operations and supply chain. So he can tell all of you. So you can talk to him after this. Okay, next. The skills area are sales, marketing, sports marketing, supply chain, entrepreneurship, finance, analytics, public relation, human resources, normal business disciplines as we are expanding. Next. Yeah, these are some of the interns across from Tennessee to all over. They're all in good schools. It's very diverse, and they all collaborate and work together. Next. Then there is a lot of cross-cultural training. Diversity is very, very important. That's where you get a chance to talk, to build your friendship, to everything. Ashish and Pierce, our student in St. John's, they were in my global supply chain class. They still work every day together. And these are some of the ways how we implement diversity and inclusion. Next one. And they are from all over, from various states across various countries, and this is what we want to expand. Next. So this is Natalie. She's one of our top students from St. Ben's. She worked with Target. Then she worked for the big companies. Now she runs her own company. Cam, he works for Norwegian Cruise Line. Demu, he was from Sri Lanka, graduate student. He is the vice president of Bank of America now. Some of the testimonials, as you will see. I think we had some in the testimonials. Yes, let's click on this. Maybe one slide is missing. Can we move on to next? Yeah, so these are the things you get it at the end of the internship for each semester you complete. Next. These are some of the recognition and certificate. Urva, she was a good accounting student. She worked with us for 3 semesters from Chicago. You get all these things, networking, recommendation letter, opportunities, and we become your lifelong mentors. That's the main thing. So that's in a brief short of hour, but we also work with various Chamber of Commerce. So we want to develop the internship programs in which it's not only in a little company, it can be spread across state of Minnesota, virtual internship. So yep. That's what we are doing at our business side.
No.
I'm literally feeling that I wish I would have been in this batch. I would have got this opportunity. So I'm sure you must be having some of the questions. Any questions from the audience? I'm sure you would have got a lot of insights, but any curious mind with any sort of questions which you want to ask?
Because honestly speaking, our students only listen this long, 15 minutes, that's all. We put them in a groups, they are there, they like to express their opinion. So attention span is 15 minutes. In our 80 minutes class, I cannot lecture for 15 minutes. And I myself say that I hate the PowerPoints. I'll maybe put 2 slides. It's so old school. Even in Amazon, when you go to meeting, they have banned PowerPoint. They said, come to the meeting with a memo. So the questions are the most important.
We have a question there. Please pass on the mic there.
Importance of communication in global supply chain. So when we talk about companies expanding its business and adapting culture of a particular country, how easy or difficult in terms of communication is the marketplace?
Oh, I mean, communication is important in friendships, any relationship, it's just so vitally important. And it's to communicate understanding about here's what we agreed to, here's what I'm gonna do next, and you could do it verbally. You can't, that's when you can send emails as well. But it's also, one of the things I think that you need to learn a little bit is when you send someone in business an email, you might have to follow up with them. They might not respond right away. So, and things happen at the speed of light in business. So if you send something and you don't hear anything in an hour, you can get back to them and just say, hey, I just want to make sure that this, that this is going to be picked up. These goods are going to be picked up.
And that's so right, because we always say our interns, including very smart students on the screen you saw, especially Indian students who are in grad school there in supply chain. They have worked in India, but US runs differently. So you send an email, and you forget about it. So email followed up by call, call followed up by email, and communication is constant. As we say, daily grinding. So there is no shortcut. You have to communicate regularly, constantly, understand each other, and it's all about relationship building.
Yep.
There's one more question there.
Thank you. It was a great session. Also, Minnesota looks great. I might visit there because I'm a massive Bob Dylan fan. My question is about.
It's also the state where the great Prince is born. The singer Prince.
Prince. Oh, yeah.
There is a king, which is Michael Jackson, and Prince. Prince is from Minnesota. He grew up very poor on the north side of the town in Minneapolis.
Anyway, my question was that until recently there was there was Donald Trump who was the president, and he was quite protectionist. And even now, while there has been a change in government, there is a lot of change. There are a lot of changes going on in America. Like you had the Build Back Better Act, you have the supply chain onshoring because of China, you have friendshoring away from China to countries like Vietnam and India. In the next 10, 15 years, what kind of an economic actor do you expect America to be? And how do you expect global supply chains to shape up accordingly? And is the infrastructure in America and in Asia there yet to support it?
I'll let King answer some of this. I prefer to have, I think the world is now being run by business. So I would prefer to have fewer attorneys and fewer poli-sci people, and all due respect to attorneys and poli-sci people in those positions. I would like to have a pro-business person in there, trying to figure out how do we make deals that are, kind of win-win and successful for all sides. And how do we do that? Because I think, I think in business you realize that, you need to generate income and revenues and those sorts of things. So it's like, how do we best do that? And what are the best programs and ways to do that? So that would be my argument. If you had someone from poli-sci, they would maybe be staring and boring holes into me, or some attorneys, which would be fine. But that's, so I think, if we can create opportunities, because the U.S. always does look for opportunities. They look for opportunities everywhere. If there's some opportunities on Mars, we're going to be going to Mars to try to figure out how do we get stuff done.
And they are going to Mars. You see, the Bezos and the Musk of the world are going because they see each person can pay $200,000 to go to the tourism. So, but I think to add to Bob's point, it will all depend on leadership. You see, Putin has destroyed the whole region, bad leadership. So definitely politicians are the policymaker. It trickles down. So. The economy of future in America, supply chain policies are very, very important. And I think this infrastructure investment, which is basically a bipartisan bill which was passed, was very much needed. Because I remember when I first landed in Beijing a few years back, and it was almost like America, but everything was brand new. Same thing when I landed in Mumbai airport here the other day, I felt that I'm in Las Vegas in Terminal 2. So everything is brand new, okay? But in US, this was built in the 50s and 60s. It is very, very important to invest in infrastructure, in energy, in health, in education, in cutting-edge technology. That's where the taxpayer money should go, instead of $7 trillion, which is spent on Afghanistan and Iraq useless wars. And the country don't have the appetite to go into foreign wars anymore. They realized it.
Terminal 2, I told my family back home, I said it looks like there was an airport built around a shopping center. I said it was unbelievable. And I'm going to take more photos and send it. I got a really good friend of mine that's in shopping center real estate out of Chicago. And I'm going to be like, holy cow, you should see this place. It's unbelievable. Beautiful.
I think America is on the right direction, investing in all these sectors, because without your airports, sports, bridge, infrastructure, education, health, sustainability, there is no progress.
one more question there.
Good afternoon, everyone. It was indeed a really nice session, and there was a lot of insights. So it was a really good part to be of the. It was really good to be a part of this session. My question is integrated with what Manas asked. He asked about what is the part that plays in terms of supply chain in infrastructure. So my question is, what is the second best thing that India needs to take a look on when it needs to integrate and develop more in terms of supply chain and logistics?
Uh, Please also mention your name when you ask.
My name is Satyam Shukla.
You want to take that?
I think what I see after being here after 8 years, I see what India needs, as I said in the opening remarks. Leadership is very important and global outlook is very important. So whatever projects we do, we should not just only think about India. India is getting into, by 2030, in the leadership on a global scale and a global level. So we have to think beyond borders, the mindset. Once your mind is set, you know what Swami Vivekananda did. We are on today. The mind need to be set broader, beyond the two oceans of Bay of Bengal and Arabian Sea.
So good morning, everyone. My name is Suraj. My question is that how do you think logistics facilitated services during the pandemic when you are to compare India and US?
And this is a great question because your students, including Ashish, that did that project with our students. We did a project on pharmaceutical, logistics, airlines, and we compared how it is. US could not get a complete lockdown, which you could get it here, which basically resulted in less of COVID cases. But as the election emerged in April and May, and partly it is to be blamed to my home state of West Bengal, when the campaigns opened up, that's when the second COVID hit. So that was an issue. But I think the first lockdown was great. But the way both the countries adopted, and we made a comparison, the student, you all did these projects, okay? Along with your sir, he was right there. And we had our industry people, Bharat was there, who is from Mahindra & Mahindra, as one of the judges when they were presenting. We saw a lot of similarities. I think both the countries coped, whatever best they can. We cannot be China and lock them down for 2.5 years. So given that both are a democratic country and America has a vast resources, they could give trillions of dollars. Of course, they fared much better, but I think India did great.
We'll take one last question now.
Hi, myself Samyak Kumar Shah. So my main question over here is connecting to supply chain. We are developing more bridges, we are developing more roads, connectivity, better connectivity, right? And India being an country where our primary occupation is agriculture. So are we not hampering the places? Are we not hampering the agricultural fields by developing roads and bridges? So my question is because I am currently an IT guy working with an IT company as a business consultant, and I'm looking myself to be an entrepreneur, and the sector would be an agribusiness. So I'm looking myself into an agribusiness, so this is the main reason, or maybe I can term it as a problem, where we are developing infrastructure, a better infrastructure. If I consider UP as Uttar Pradesh, we are going to, there is a big investment going to happen next month. Yeah, so there is a big agriculture land over there. So this land, are we not hampering that land by connecting through 6 different highway, also developing 5 international airports? Yes, we are developing. That is a sign of development, but are we not hampering the field of agriculture?
It's not only field of agriculture, we are also hampering our simple water which we consume. The water table is so down in Chennai, okay? Because of the there is always has to be a trade-off in business as in life. So I think that's a great concern and it's a great question, and that's where the policymakers need to come. The buildings, the malls and bridges are okay, but people still need to be fed. So what we're trying to do is to increase the per capita hectare yield and things like that. But it's a big, big concern. That balance needs to happen. Otherwise, it will be like Lebanon. They love their bread, they have bread, but their wheat comes from Ukraine. Same thing with Ethiopia. Same thing, one of the companies, General Mills, they started off in Minnesota by milling wheat. Otherwise, we have to outsource our food, and it will be a disaster.
Exactly. Even I was yesterday referring to a news headline in Pakistan. In these days, the onion price is going beyond 200 per kg.
Wheat short. So we need to be very, very careful, and that's why all of you, as I told you, the movement, if you need to strike, if you need to do whatever you need to do, environment, food, water, air should be your primary beside internet speed, K-pop, Post Malone, McDonald's, Uber, all these things.
What can you live with and what can't you live without? That's the ultimate question.
Right, and infrastructure at the same time is required. Otherwise, all the oranges in Nagpur will always remain in Nagpur. If you do not have infrastructure in place, all the Kashmiri apples will stay there if you do not have infrastructure in place. And economic growth, again, depends on that. So there has to be a conscious decision-making that how is that infrastructure impacting? Do we have any alternative? But we cannot say that infrastructure is directly impacting your agricultural land. That could be a conscious decision which can be taken.
And I think it varies from state to state. What the UP and Bengal will be very different from our Indore. We landed. The Prime Minister was there yesterday. The Prabhasi Bharatiya Divyas was going. Amazing. 22 years I landed in that city. But the airport is so bad. It's small. It's not bad. It's not good at all. If we want international investments, that Indore airport cannot be like that way. Yes, but like I remember when I was a student flying out of New Delhi in 1995, how the two terminals used to be, or how this used to be, okay? And today you look at it, that changed the country.
We assure you next time you come, Indore will greet you with a new airport altogether.
I hope so, because I have a soft corner for it. I stayed there for 2 years in the campus of Delhi College.
Right. We can take one last question, but it has to be from a girl. Yes, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Shaili Shah, and I'm from the HR domain. As you all mentioned about live projects and virtual internships for operations and other domains, what opportunities do you all see for the HR domain in terms of virtual projects and live internships?
Oh, HR is one of the most important thing. Without HR, it cannot happen, And the problem with HR is whoever wants an internship in HR, somebody just interviewed, she's a PhD from Aligarh Muslim University. She's married in Boston. So since 2019, she has been there. She's struggling to find a job, forget about internship. Why? Because problem with US HR jobs are, they all want experience. How can you have experience if you don't get experience? Okay? So I think, we have people, one of our students, Mary, very bright girl. We put him in sales. She got bored in 2 weeks. Then we talked her to do HR. She turned out to be a brilliant HR manager. So I think the companies has to open up their eyes and ears. But without HR, I don't think a company can function, a nation can function, a state can function. So HR role is going to increase more and more and more in coming years.
Thank you.
Agreed. I'm sure This was an amazing session for you as well. I got a lot of insights. So thank you, Dr. Bob, and thank you, Mr. Mukherjee, for giving those insights. Thank you, audience. You have been a wonderful audience. We had some great questions, so thank you for those great questions as well. Thank you, everyone.
And you can add us in LinkedIn right there. So you can send us some questions, whatever you need. So right there is mine. Bob is also, you can find from mine right there. That is the best way to stay connected.
I have just one parting thought, and I want each of you to focus on being effective and not perfect. If you want to be perfect, you're never going to get there. I don't mean to be a bad omen, but think about just being effective. And then you can work on the efficiency part after you're effective. So that's my parting comment.
And the other portion he missed to tell you, which Bob tells very well, is go and have fun.
Yeah.
You know, enjoy life. It is too short.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Great seeing you all.
My dear students, you can see this. Just a second, students.
वीडियो लीजिए हाँ
A very good afternoon to everyone who has been part of this illuminating discussion. On behalf of Thakur Global Business School, I extend my heartfelt gratitude and extend this vote of thanks. Appreciating our dignitaries, Mr. Kingshuk Mukherjee, Associate Professor at College of St. Benedict and St. John's University, President of Global Impacts USA, Mr. Bob Gazik, Associate Visiting Professor at College of St. Benedict and St. John's University, Vice President of Global Impacts USA, and Ms. Meghna Patil, Vice President Analytics and Innovation at LogicCloud and WebExpress, for taking out their precious time to be here with all of us. Your thoughts have truly inspired us. I thank our management, COO ma'am, Dr. Natu, Director, Thakur Institute of Management Studies and Research, In-charge Director, Dr. Suchi Gautam ma'am, for always supporting and guiding us. Our students, the superstars of today, always put a lot of effort and love into making each one of our events a grand success. You have always been generous with your time when your institute needs you, no matter what. I would be failing in my duty if I did not thank all the HOIs and faculty members and students of participating institutes, my fellow faculty members, Professor Ajit Maurya, Professor Surbhi Gaude, Professor Anuja Rai, who have made this day possible. I thank each and every one of you for the support and participation that has been contributed from your end. I thank the support staff for the assistance and smooth conduct that they have enabled for this event. Thanking each and every one of you for being here and making this day wonderful and memorable for one and each one of us. Thank you once again.
We request all the students to please be seated for a while.
Back also we can go. Are back we can go. Suppy at the back. Come.
All of you can look straight. Keep your phones, you can look straight. Keep looking straight.
I will request all the students to please scan the QR code and fill the Google feedback form to ease out the e-certification circulation process.
can be a little boring at times. And then, we wanted to talk about Minnesota, where you're from. That's important. And our campus, you can see where we're coming from.
Hello, hello.
That's very important. Well, we want to take a picture.